RotoGrinders, Dean here, Dean 78904. If you want to get all technical, it is a big boy slate for sure, double XL, 14 gamer, no time for pleasantries on a hump day, no time for foreplay. We got to get right into it. It is myself, Dean, and TJ. TJ's Horich, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. He still claims he's number one. That's up for debate, I suppose, because you challenge him to head-to-heads. That's up for rolls. It's TJ. It's Wednesday. We had a day off yesterday. At least some of us did in the DFS streets. Played a little hockey. That was fun. But, yeah, TJ, say hello. We got to go, man. We got to do this. 14 gamer.
Hello.
There you go. It's Kid Yahoo. It's the king of the juggalos. It's Kirk Dees hailing from Boston. We were getting an education on the underground music scene pre-show. That was interesting. It's Kirkwood. Kirkwood, what's going on? It's 14 games.
He looks like a juggalo, doesn't he? The guy I was telling you to look at.
I don't know.
Could very well be a juggalo. No.
I don't think his face was painted, so I feel like that's kind of a requirement, is it not? Or at least it's encouraged.
Outside of that, could you see the guy in the juggalo world? Sure.
Right. For the sake of saving time, I'll just agree and say yes. Kirk would be excited about tonight. It's going to be a fun one. There's a lot of good things to talk about, I think, for DFS wise. I think you're going to like your lineups. Going to be fun watching some games, but it's going to be stressful as well too, especially for those of us that just play one or two main lineups. And that's what you're doing tonight, Kirkwood. I assume that's kind of your usual.
Yeah, especially with the baby. I've like given up even I've like set aside time to be like, okay, this is a max entry night. Like I'm going to do it. And then I still never get to it. And like, so it's just, I've given in at this point, but yeah, it's a good slate, 14 games. It feels like overwhelming with like too much stuff, but like at the same time, there's like two games that are just like so far ahead of everything that feels kind of manageable. But of course, ownership will play a part, but then again, we have 14 games. So we don't have to get overboard.
What's kind of a bummer, and we'll talk about it, is, at least from my perspective, and maybe you guys feel differently, is that I think, Kirkwood, you're insinuating the two games are probably Washington at Charlotte and Utah at Indiana. Is that what we're talking about? Or is there other, I mean, there's other games for sure, but those are the two like that really jump off the page, and they're both 7 o'clock tip-offs, and I just don't love just being all in at 7 o'clock. And come catch me. And, obviously news can change. Things come out of nowhere, waiting for some information. But is that those the two games you were insinuating were the most interesting?
You nailed it. But I'd like to say that you say that you don't want to be all in at 7 o'clock. To me, that sounds beautiful. It's like no late swap. It's like it's not even an option. So it's like, let's go. So I did that the other night, actually. I lost because of it, but I was like, yes, my lineup is everybody at the 7 o'clock game.
So your tiebreaker goes the other way. A lot of people tiebreak for it, they'll backload, but you're saying just to get it out of the way. I hear you. I get it. I guess that kind of makes sense. And sometimes it'll work out, sometimes it won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I have I got the pick six show tonight. It's at 9 o'clock. So I don't like making decisions while on air. Like that's not a lot of fun either, because we're talking football and two different sports, and you got to be on top of stuff. When we're talking with Rebar and Daigle. But there's a little plug for the people. If you're interested in week 10 of the NFL DFS streets, that's a good kind of first look. All right. Body parts. Who are we monitoring before we fully dive in? Jokic, we're expecting him to play, but he is probable with that wrist. Jalen Duren is questionable with his ankle. We know Zion was ruled out earlier today. New Orleans, also Herb Jones is questionable with the leg. We just saw Walker Kessler went from questionable to doubtful to out for 2 weeks on the Utah side. I believe our projection team was ahead of that, and they had him already out. Anthony Davis, I guess, is one of the bigger pieces. He's currently questionable, but I believe he was at practice. Indications are that he will play. Indications are that Bradley Beal is going to make his season debut tonight. We'll see. Stay tuned. Also, Draymond Green is out. Ben Simmons has a hip midday downgrade to questionable. Maybe we see Royce O'Neal draw a start, but that's it. Basically, other stuff will pop up, and I may have missed a thing or two, but that's the gist of it. First game on the slate. Unless TJ, we got anything overarching we want to say before we fully dive in?
No, I don't think there is 14 games. We just got to dive right into it.
Washington at Charlotte, 239.5 is the total. It is high. It is tight. Charlotte is just like a 2-point favorite here, which seems kind of low, but they are really thin. They're without Book Knight, Ntilikina, and Martin. They don't matter so much. But Terry Rozier Terry Rozier is out as well. On the Washington side, Washington is fully healthy. I just tweeted this out. Do you want to just care to take a guess? Anybody take a guess? Unless you saw my tweet, then you're cheating. How many players have the Wizards played in the first 6 games of the season? How many players have hit the court for the Wizards in 6 games?
17.
Yeah, you cheater. Or you're just guessing. Well, I don't know.
Nope, I just threw out a number.
17 players they played 6 games into the season. Good Lord. What a disaster Washington is. The big thing I think in this game, besides the fact that like the pace is awesome, the absence of Rozier, everything should go to Ball. We saw 39 minutes for LaMelo. So I don't know. Are the minutes restrictions off? I guess we'll see. But if he plays even close to that, 35, 36, 37 versus Washington, Ball looks like possibly the best big spend on the slate. TJ, how are you handling LaMelo? Do we assume those minutes continue going forward? Our projection team has him at 34. 39, obviously, that's ambitious. Possible. Nice to see it's possible, though. But even 34 is grabbing a few extra than he's been getting earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think 34, 35, 36 is totally reasonable for LaMelo Ball tonight. I think he is tied for the top spend up. I think him and there's one other that I'm looking to get to as much as I possibly can tonight. And those guys in like the 9K, 8.5 to 10K range are where I'm looking to stay the most tonight outside of Jokic and Embiid. So LaMelo Ball will be priority 1 for spend ups for me.
Currently, his ownership is at 21% on DK. I think that might be a little bit higher, to be honest. I think it's going to come. I think he's one of the more popular big spends on the slate. But again, it's a 14 gamer. Even that is a pretty big number. Kirk, what do you have as far as Ball? Are you prioritizing him and the other pieces as well against this Washington team? If we're going to get 33 minutes out of Gordon Hayward, he looks good. If we're going to get 33 minutes out of PJ Washington, he looks good. We're projecting Maladon to be like a possible like cheapy dart, but like I don't love it. But I suppose last man in, you're desperate and you're spending up elsewhere. I prefer not to get there. I do like Brandon Miller to continue to ascend here for the Charlotte team. But you mentioned it. This game is popping. You want to have all your players locked in and like hang out with your child and watch. I don't know what's the kids. What do the kids watch these days, Kirkwood? What are you firing up for them? Or are they watching basketball with you?
Yeah, they're watching. He's watching I've had this kid up at midnight watching UFC with me before. So when mommy was out, and she's like, "How's it going?" And he was supposed to be sleeping. I'm like, "Well, I sent a picture. We're currently watching the main event."
Does he know what side you're on too? Like you got to root for this guy in the red trunks.
But you know what? My kid he's like really good with like getting me in like choke, like when we're playing around and stuff. I think he picks up from watching it. But anyway, I love this game. Let's reflect for a minute on this game, what we're actually getting into here. We've got the two. So Washington's the fastest paced team so far. Hornets are right up there at number 4. And then you look at the defensive ratings on each. You got the Wizards at dead last, and then the Hornets are 27th. Now you get the Hornets situation where they're missing their like minute, like Terry Rozier is their big minutes guy and a guy that they always go to for high usage and scoring, and he's out. So everything's on Ball's shoulders. We saw it the other night. He's been unleashed. This is the best possible matchup you can get. So we also have this on a 14-game slate. So this is like, even though he's going to be popular and he's going to be chalk, there's still, I say just go over and just, I'm ride or die with him. And so other than that, there's still plenty of good plays. Gordon Hayward is the guy. He makes sense, but I don't know he's not a sexy ceiling guy. So like he's gonna be chalky. I get it. He's cheap. He's 6,600. The role is there now. He's played 34 minutes each his last game. He had 31% usage. So in the last game. So I can't say he's a bad play. I just have like bias from hating Gordon Hayward. So take that for what it's worth. But like you gotta like Kuzma on the other side as the run back. Should be a game where he can pick up a lot of peripherals. Denny Avdia. Sorry.
Avdia.
For some reason. Yeah, Avdia. I can't pronounce it for some reason. So I'm like stuck right now. But and Jordan Poole, like they're fine as well. So I say load up on this game and load up on the Utah Pacers game, which is like another really good situation, and then fit, at least have your core from those 2 games, and let's go.
TJ, you taking a big stand in this game? Are you running your 150? And also like your favorite plays beyond ball on the Charlotte side?
I'm running 20 lineups today on DraftKings and then a single entry as well on top of that. My favorite players are from the Charlotte side. LaMelo Ball is definitely number one, but Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, Mark Williams, and Brendan Miller are all in my pool. Going to get 10 to 20% of each of those guys. Every lineup I have today is probably going to have somebody from the Hornets. And then on the Washington side of things, there's really just three guys I want to go to. I love Avdia from a point per minute standpoint, but he just doesn't really get the minutes. And so I'm more interested in Kuzma, Jordan Poole, and then maybe even speaking of not getting the minutes, Daniel Gafford, just because it's a big man against Charlotte and he can smash in 25 minutes. But Kyle Kuzma, probably my favorite play from this Washington team. Like a Kuzma Ball mini stack is in my single entry right now.
Yeah, Roth is going to be on later. He's been talking about Kuzma this year. He was right about him last time out, running him back with Embiid. The only that stopped him or slowed him down was the absolute shellacking they got from Philadelphia, but they probably don't get one here from Charlotte, which is a 2-point line here. I like Kuzma a good bit as well. I agree with you. The Tyus Jones price is kind of interesting to me as well. If I have to settle in the mid-tier, 5.6K seems pretty reasonable. Did you have a run back here, Kirkwood, as far as Washington? We're spending a lot of time in this game. There's going to be some games you just kind of move past real quickly. This is very clearly one of the best games on the board for DFS. Your thoughts as far as Washington, Kirkwood?
I already said it, but I said Kuzma and Poole are they're the easy run backs. And then I like Denny Avdia, although TJ didn't like him so much.
Well, his minutes are getting squeezed. That's kind of the issue there. Like they're playing 17 guys, and part of that is blowout stuff too, but we're only giving him 28, which is not terrible, but you want a few more than that, ideally. But he can get there in 28. We do have Beal officially playing. There you go. Speculation was correct. Bradley Beal will make his season debut tonight. Second game on the board is let's talk about Boston. Boston and Philadelphia. This is one of those deals where it's probably better to watch than to play from a DFS perspective. Still, we can talk about it. 227 is a total. Boston is a 2.5-point favorite in Philly. As far as the injuries, Derek White is back. I believe he had a child, so congratulations to him. So they're fully healthy, and Philadelphia is fully healthy. And fun game to watch, I suppose, TJ, but nobody's getting any ownership here. If you want to play Embiid, by all means, he's fabulous, sure. Just to me, there's no priorities. There's just none. You tell me otherwise, as far as Boston, Philly.
Embiid at low ownership, I think, is a great tournament play, and I like running him back with Jason Tatum at like 2% projected ownership as well. So a Tatum and Embiid mini stack is how I'm running this one. I think I have 2 of my 20 lineups with that, but I X'd out every other player in this game.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's worth a dart. And you got to figure, Nurse is the coach there for Philadelphia. This is probably a game they had circled, a game they want to win. They want to see where they're at. Maybe we get 36, 37 minutes out of Embiid. He's currently projected for 35, and he's been awesome this year. Just 1.86 fantasy points per minute, which, his assist rate, I believe, is up as well in the absence of Harden. I like him. I like him a lot. Again, it's just so much good stuff on this slate, but I agree. I think it's a 2 out of 10, nice little stack. You don't have to run it back with Tatum, and I'm fine with that. Kirkwood, quick game, right? What else do we have to add here as far as Philadelphia and Boston?
The only case I can make for it is the fact that Boston has been running, it's such a tight rotation now. And this is like going to be this is probably going to be the closest thing to like a playoff game as we have in the regular season at this point. So I think that there is 40-minute upside if this game plays right for some of these guys in the Celtics, like 39. And we have them projected for high minutes already. So it, tough to get much higher than that, but that's the case for him. But the problem is, it's like, which Celtic? Yeah, I like Tatum. Yeah, Brown's reasonably priced on some sites. Anthony Melton is like a cheap guy you could use for filler, but it's like, which Celtic do you choose? Who goes off? I don't really know. It could be any of these guys.
And again, I don't think you have to. I think you can run Embiid just a la carte.
Yeah.
By the way, have you forgot about the tournament? What do you mean? The tournament this season, did you not see the courts? They're playing for a title. Those are going to be the most important games in the regular season. Every Friday night and Tuesday night, at least for the next, I don't know, month or so or something like that.
Then you don't need. They didn't. who was it that was like interviewed and he was like, I have no idea what this tournament is. It was like Terrence. It was Bones.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he'll be figuring it out in the bench. Because
Only, and I think that actually, I think those courts mess up player performance a little bit too.
Really?
Those wild courts. Yeah, it's shooting on those things. It just looks weird, you know.
Remember the old Ryan Anderson splits, the home road splits, because he was colorblind and like the stands
Those were real. Those were real.
This could be some new splits as far as Tuesday night, Friday night courts. Okay, Utah, Indiana, the other game that's super, super appealing on the board. Walker Kessler not playing for the Jazz tonight. Indiana is fully healthy and good to go. Indiana's 6-7 point favorite here, 242, a monster total in this game. The absence of Walker Kessler opens up some stuff on the inside for John Collins. Kelly Olynyk looks like one of the best dollar-for-dollar plays on the board. And the other thing, by the way, with Indiana, this is early season stuff, but it's going to play out. Indiana has given up, I believe it's 5 more points in the paint. It's like 4 or 5 or 6 more points in the paint than the second worst team as far as yielding points in the paint. Point being, that's how you get to the Pacers. Points in the paint, you can just absolutely thrash them there. So Olynyk and Collins look pretty good to me. Kirkwood, are you prioritizing? Are you just going to take the Kelly Olynyk chalk? How do you feel about Collins? They both look pretty good, dollar for dollar, and just the Jazz in general.
I like it fine because I like this game, but Kelly O chalk is always a little scary. And I would much rather just play a much higher percentage of John Collins, eat some of that salary difference, because you can make it work. I think Collins is the one who has the big upside here, but Olynyk is fine. He's just so, I mean, what do you project? What do we have in ownership? I've seen him like anywhere from like 40 to 70%, depending on
48%. Yeah. Kelly O in the season, averaging
on a 14 game slate. That just feels kind of crazy, no?
Yes, but then you add if he plays 29 minutes, I feel pretty good about that. But he that there's scenarios where that doesn't take place. They have other guys, right, where that could theoretically ruin it. Like a Fontecchio can get some extra run. I'm not saying you should play Fontecchio, but just trying to think where his minutes would go. Are you eating that chalk? And it's also center and center only. I think on Fanduel, I want to say he's power forward center, which gives him a little bit of versatility. But on DK, TJ, he's center and center only. How do we feel about Kelly Olynyk?
Eating all the chalk. I have 80% Kelly Olynyk. I have at least one of Kelly O and John Collins in every lineup today. So I'll be overweight on Kelly, but I'm also going to be overweight on John Collins. I got some with both of them, but at least one of them in every single lineup. The Utah big men and the New Orleans backcourt, I believe, was the other one I made sure to have at least one of in every single lineup today. And so, 80% Kelly Olynyk, 30% John Collins. Love this spot for the entire team. I also have a little bit of Horton Tucker, a little bit of Jordan Clarkson. And then I think, while Kelly Olynyk is a great, I think it's good chalk, and John Collins, I think, is a great pivot. I think Lauri Markkanen is one of the best tournament plays on the slate. We're currently projecting for 2% ownership.
I was just going to ask, you mentioned the big man, and I was like, I wonder if you're considering Markkanen. The tricky thing is the price, the asking price. He certainly could pay that off. He could put up 50 plus at 8.7K. And you're right. People are not going to be prioritizing him, and the game environment's good for him too. Jump over to Indiana. We talked about Ball. Ball and Halliburton both look spectacular. Halliburton looks like he's well positioned as well. I love both those point guards tonight. Just a matter of salary. He's up to 9.8, but we saw in his last time out, the ceiling games he can give you. I guess it wasn't the last time out. Last time out was against the Spurs. Well, he was actually spectacular in that game. He was too good was the problem, or the Spurs were too bad, where he basically did not play the last, 17, 18 minutes of that game, but he thrashed versus Charlotte. Halliburton, this is his team. He's awesome. Great trade. We're not going to, revamp that up again. But, how much you prioritize on Halliburton and the Pacers, TJ?
Ben Simmons just got ruled out for what it's worth, and I am very much prioritizing Halliburton. He's the other player beside LaMelo Ball that I said was my favorite spend up on the slate. I'm getting to some Miles Turner as well. They are the only two players on Indiana I'm getting to because I feel like everybody else is priced appropriately, and I don't necessarily know if they have a huge ceiling at those prices. But Halliburton and Miles Turner, both in my pool, Turner in like the 10 to 20% range. Halliburton in like the 30 to 40% range, right alongside LaMelo Ball.
I agree with you, by the way. Turner and Halliburton, the only two I'm getting to. The rest of the rotation just kind of like too fluid, too unpredictable, and too many guys just getting like 27 minutes and just not a ton of ceilings out there. Kirkwood, Indiana.
Yeah, same thing. Love Halliburton. He should absolutely cook THT out there. These are the two game environments to play. So if you can make LaMelo and Halliburton both work, that's great. I think you should probably have at least one of these two in every single lineup. But yeah, I don't really have any interest in anyone else. Miles Turner, I think, is fine, like you guys, but that's it. I mean, there's some flyers you could take, I guess, because everybody's kind of loan owned, but nothing stands out really.
That's
like
it. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think you're stupid to play Bruce Brown or Benedict Mathurin. I agree. I just don't think they're necessary.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like if that's your last man in, whatever. Good environment. This is an environment, I guess, where Brown can do okay, but what is his ceiling, right? But if he makes everything else work, so be it. Or if it's part of like a little bit of a game stack. Let's talk about the 7:30 games, 7:00 games. That's it. We're done. Only 3 7:00 games. The first game of the ESPN doubleheader, Wembanyama makes his debut in the Garden in New York. San Antonio, after getting absolutely shellacked, they're in New York this evening. As far as the total in that game, it's 223.5. They are 10-point dogs here. I don't love this spot for Wembanyama. He's certainly fine. He certainly can have a high ceiling game. I don't like the matchup here against New York as well, the way they rebound on the inside. I don't like this game basically at all. I like Brunson a little bit, I suppose, but Kirkwood, I feel like this is one of the, unless you feel otherwise, by all means, one of the games I don't want to say just cross off. Mitch Rob is getting some ownership, which, I mean, come on. When is Mitch Rob going to break us? I suppose he can get like 5 blocks and 15 rebounds or something like that and a few dunks, but if that's what beats me, so be it. Randall and Brunson, their shooting has been kind of shaky. Eventually they're going to get it on track theoretically, but they're all fine, but I don't think I'm prioritizing. Well, I know I'm not prioritizing anybody in this game.
Yeah, the only guy, in theory, I have interest in Randall because I think he's not going to shoot this bad for forever. He's going to have an explosion game coming up at some point soon. The minutes are there, like massive minutes, like always with Tibbs. But yeah, this isn't a game. I mean, a Spurs guy would be interesting, because Vassell is out still, but Malachi Branham played pretty well the other night, but you can't. 2 games going to Toronto. I was watching them, but you can't really make case. Keldon Johnson came out second half, had a really good second half in his last game. But yeah, no thanks on anyone. And you got the price increase with Wemby, and probably not the best matchup for steals and blocks and all that.
New York fully healthy, but I didn't mention that. Barrett good to go, and Keldon is officially probable with his wrist. Devin Vassell, I think he's officially doubtful, but he's not playing. He's probably still going to miss several more games. I don't know what. When he first got hurt, Pop said he's going to be out for a while, and that was maybe a week ago, maybe less than that. TJ, you like anything here? We can just move on if you don't like anything.
I got a little bit of Mitch Rob in my pool, and that's the only player in this game.
Okay. Clippers, Brooklyn. You know what? You want to skip that one? I want to see. Do we get anything as far as Simmons? Do we get an update there, TJ?
He's out.
No. I mean, as far as the projections, I'm curious if anything significantly changed. Our projection team, they're on top of this stuff all times, and I just wanted to see if we had it. I'd rather talk about the game with the active projections, which I think we're going to have because they just been updated a few minutes ago, right? Let's see if we got them. I believe we do. Yeah. Okay. Good job, projection team. They are ready and good to go as far as that one. Yeah. So Clippers versus Brooklyn. I'm losing them on my sheet. My apologies. I'm going to work back. Terrence Mann, I believe he's expected to play tonight, or is he still questionable? Plumlee's going to be out for a while. That's Mason Plumlee. Brooklyn, we believe that we know Simmons is out. Of course, Cam Johnson is still out. Claxton is still out. We're projecting, I assume we're going to project Royce O'Neal to start now. How many, does he become interesting? Nobody really likes playing him, but 35 minutes for Royce O'Neal. The projection's okay. Okay.
I think Royce and DFS are both pretty interesting just because the small forward, power forward position sucks at that price. If you're not getting up above 6K for, John Collins, PJ Washington, Ouster Thompson, Jeremy Grant, Gordon Hayward, like Brandon Miller, Isaiah Stewart, if Jalen Duren is out, those are okay. But outside of that, there's really not many cheap options at the small forward and power forward position. And so I think they're viable just as last pieces because the position is gross.
We're giving 37 minutes to Cam Thomas, 37 to Bridges. A really tight rotation here for Brooklyn is projected 35 to DFS, 33 Dinwiddie, 35 Royce O'Neal. The biggest number off the bench will be Lonnie Walker at 22. Some tight rotations, although some of these prices have been bumped up. Kirkwood, as far as Brooklyn, it's never fun to sweat Royce O'Neal, but he can hit some threes. So theoretically, he can get some stocks, a few boards here and there. But like TJ made an interesting argument as far as just like it's kind of a dead zone for that price, and that's as far as that position. So I get it. But Brooklyn versus the Clippers, and we'll talk about the Clippers in a second, I guess. But nobody getting any ownership on the Clippers just because prices have not adjusted to the new situation with Harden being there, and everybody's just kind of overpriced, and we need some sort of adjustment. Until then, I can't imagine playing anybody on the Clippers unless I'm running like 1,000 lineups, which I'm not. Kirkwood, Brooklyn Clippers, go for it.
Yeah, I always have interest in Mikal Bridges and Cam Thomas, whether you like it or not. I think the one night where TJ and I were like all, and you were against him. I think that was a night he busted, but it was the only night.
Oh yeah.
He comes back, and then he went nuts again like the next 2 years. So I'll give you half credit for that. Dorian Finney-Smith is a guy I can play in this spot because he's going to see minutes at center. Like he just has massive minutes upside. He doesn't have fantasy point upside is the problem, but he has massive minutes upside. If he hits some threes, you get a good game out of him. It's just a tough matchup. But if you need him, like if he's overpriced kind of at 5,500, but he might see close to 40 minutes in this spot.
0.8 fantasy points per minute, DK points per minute in the season for DFS, which I think is more than he's had in previous seasons. Just a quick question as far as the Clippers. What if Zubac plays, I don't know, 31, 32 minutes? We're projecting 28 for him. He's not that cheap, but like I guess basically he's the one big in this game and Brooklyn's not going to go big. They just can't. That's not, they don't have the players for it. Does anybody have a thought or a take as far as Zubac? Is there a route where he plays 31, 32 and the Clippers just say, screw it, we're going to play a big, or they're just going to get smaller for Brooklyn?
I think they'll just get smaller.
I think this game's going to play small because it's like it's too easy for them to go small. The Clippers, so and that Brooklyn's going to be doing that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, what if the Clippers just say screw it? But yeah, it's a fair point. Keontae George is available with his foot, or I think he was probable if I'm not mistaken before, but yeah, he's expected to play. Eventually, he's gaining ground there on THT for Utah. Phoenix is in Chicago. 218.5 is the total. Not a big total. It is tight though. The Bulls, I believe, are 1 point favorites here. As far as who's in and who's out in this one, Chicago is fully healthy and Phoenix is fully healthy with the exception of Devin Booker. Beal is back. So for that, like Phoenix, I don't know how much Beal's going to play, but probably not full minutes, but I think we have projected around 28 or so. Not enough where you can roster them, but enough where you can kind of muck up other people as well. Long story short, I don't think Phoenix is terribly interesting ownership-wise. Yeah, Durant's getting a pinch around 2%, but that's basically it, TJ. Again, 14 games. I don't think there's a lot to say as far as Phoenix. By all means, say it if you want, or jump over to Chicago.
I don't want to jump over to either of them. I got the X button on both full teams in their entirety.
Yeah. The prices on DK are still pretty good for some of these Bulls. Vuk at 7.4 is playable. Levine at 7.5 is playable. The Torrey Craig nonsense, I want no part of that. And DeRozan, I guess, but he feels like DeRozan, the game's starting to catch up a little bit. I think he's kind of lost a step. He's starting to get a little bit old, and not shooting threes is kind of caps his ceiling. Kirkwood, you got anything as far as Phoenix, Chicago? By all means, share it. Otherwise, we can just move on.
I disagree with DeRozan. I feel like the guy doesn't age, but But I'm not. I don't.
He's
the only. He's like the only guy I like in this spot, only because of his price tag at 7,300. But again, this is a pass game.
Are we going to get news on Anthony Davis? That's the other 8:00 game. Actually, there's a couple more 8:00 games. I'm going to skip that one and jump back and maybe. Yeah, there's a pile of 8:00 games. I forgot. Okay, we're going to skip that one for now. We'll jump back to Lakers, Houston, Cleveland, OKC. 228 is the total. Cleveland is a 3-point favorite here in Oklahoma. I said it was 228, correct? As far as the total, I believe I did. As far as Cleveland, Okoro is out. That's the only one that really matters. OKC, Dort, I believe, was officially questionable. I don't think that matters a ton. Like several guys will fill his spots. I suppose it matters defensively, maybe to some extent, the old torture chamber on Donovan Mitchell. But Kirkwood, you're batting first on this one. This one's not really for me, I don't think. Again, making one lineup or one main lineup, a couple main lineups, I just don't think I'm going to prioritize Cleveland, Oklahoma. You tell me otherwise.
Yeah, I think I'm past two. I mean, I always have interest in Shea, and I think Chet is a generational talent and is going to have like massive games like from time to time. But yeah, I think tonight, based on this whole slate, this is a pretty easy pass game.
Those are two of my favorite players. OKC is like my second favorite team. Chet is, I mean, I'm on board with that train as well. I think he's spectacular. But, as far as tonight, I'm going to have a hard time getting anybody in my lineups. I'm not going to tell anybody you can't play SGA, obviously. TJ, you're making 20 lineups. Maybe you have a pinch of this stuff?
I did have a pinch of Chet earlier, but I'm struggling to get to him. Shy, I think, is always an interesting play. I got him in one lineup. But those are the only two. I think I have Chet in one and SGA in one.
Yeah, some tough
said Skosh. It's supposed to be Skosh.
What's more, a pinch or a Skosh?
Wait, where is he from? I can't even pronounce it.
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada.
Yeah, Skosh from Saskatoon.
It's out west.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
What's more, Kirkwood, a Skosh or a pinch?
I think a Skosh could be more or less. So I think it's like how a few is three or more. Like a few could be like a lot. Actually, I think Skosh is kind of the same way.
How about a dash? Is a dash more or less than a Skosh?
That I don't know. You'd have to ask TJ.
Yeah. TJ, you want to jump into this? Is important stuff.
I would say a Skosh is a little bit more than a dash.
Maybe the chat can chime in. All right. Hey, we haven't really officially said hello to the chat, have we? My bad. Hey, kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things. Hit all the buttons. Gently caress, tap, whatever you want to do to turn the thumb up there as far as the like button. It helps us keep the lights on and let TJ and Spidey know we're getting the job done here. But all right. Let's chat saying that Olynyk is not starting tonight. That's interesting. So does Bobby Gomes. He's in chat as well. Doesn't mean you can't play.
Agbaji. Keontae George. So no Keontae George, Jordan Clarkson, Agbaji, Markkanen, and Collins. So also no Horton Tucker. Keontae George is starting for Horton Tucker.
How much is George? He's 3.8. He's going to be interesting. I think he's going to pop. I think we could still play Kelly O.
I think Kelly O is hopefully now going to go way down for ownership and be a great tournament play.
Bobby's telling us Precious Achua is doubtful. Well, I thank him for that. Precious, I don't think that moves needle. Something goofy, I think, just happened with my camera and my setup. Hopefully I can get this fixed. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going.
You look like you had a couple of shots real quick. And you got red faced.
Yeah, my setup is failing me as we speak. So I'm going to throw the game.
Are you Irish, Steve?
I think I'm like a European mod. I'm not totally sure. I don't know. Probably. You know what? I'm a Scotch Irish. How about that? And like a pinch English. I'm probably more than a Scotch and a pinch, to be honest. I don't know. There's at least some in there. But yeah, what game were we talking about? We were talking about I think I was about to set up. I was about to set up Detroit and Milwaukee. So TJ, you guys handle that. I'll jump back in a minute.
All right, Detroit and Milwaukee. So Milwaukee is. I was adjusting the lineup, D, and I was not ready for that at all. Where is this game on the slate? I can't find it at all on lineup HQ. Did it just disappear?
Just kill time with pleasant.
There we go. Detroit and Milwaukee. We got a 227.5 total in this one. Milwaukee is 12.5 favorites. Detroit is looking pretty interesting to me on this slate, but Milwaukee, outside of Giannis, I don't want to get to anybody at all. And in fact, I'm not even getting to any Giannis. Breeze through Milwaukee quickly here, Kirk D's, and then let's talk about Detroit.
I was trying to kill time. I was just uploading something really quickly. But sure, let me pull it up. Keep going. Hold on.
Okay.
My computer.
So Milwaukee, they're all priced pretty high outside of Giannis. Lillard is there. There's not enough usage to go around that I think on a 12-game slate, while guys like Brook Lopez would maybe be fine, I'm not looking to get there. But on the Detroit side of things, I'll like them a lot more if Jalen Duren is out. If Jalen Duren is in, I'm going to get to a lot less of these guys. But since they're already without Alec Burks and a couple other backups that may not seem like a big deal, it does open up a lot of usage and minutes for the guards. And so Killian Hayes and Marcus Sasser, I think, are two of the more interesting value plays on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, Sasser's a scorer from University of Houston. So I think he's fine on all sites tonight. It's just I don't know what the upside really is with him. I mean, Cade Cunningham has like he's like top 3 roles in the NBA right now. It's like Luka, Joker, and then Cade Cunningham. Now he hasn't like flashed any of that ceiling, but with 40 minutes and like high usage in there, and he's a capable scorer. I think he has to be in consideration any matchup. If they can keep it tight. I know this is a tough ask against Milwaukee, but stranger things have happened. But other than that, I don't really, this game is kind of a pass for me. I think you could use Oscar Thompson if you needed him, but
I just want to jump in and say my apologies for my computer. If we have Durant sitting, Oscar becomes a pretty good play. I think he's a fine play as is. We're projecting him for 36 minutes, almost 38 plus DK fantasy points on DraftKings. If we lose Darren, we're also projecting Bagley okay still, which is
I can't play Bagley ever again.
That's it. It's over.
It's over. This guy is the laziest ball player I've ever it's top 3 pick or whatever. I mean, whatever he was, what a miss that was to draft him ahead of Luka. And the guy he's just so lazy on the court. He does everything wrong. He's always out of position. I don't get it. It's ridiculous. So I will never go back to him.
His backup, right? Wasn't Wiseman the same draft, the number 1 pick? I believe it was, right?
No, different drafts.
Oh,
no, number one was Ayton.
I remember.
I remember Jeff Collins. I'll have saying all these great things about how what Wiseman was going to be. There's probably an old take exposed there somewhere.
Well, he's a Warriors fan, so you got to give him a pass on that.
Of course, of course.
But yeah, I thought I was being sneaky. I had a Wiseman lineup that night, and oh boy, that's it. There's going to be one game where because he can be a good fantasy point minute player, but he's also not very good at basketball, and he's probably going to be playing over in Shanghai in a year or two or something like that. We're playing with Dwight Howard, or is Dwight Howard still playing overseas? He may be, not sure. All right,
he's playing with balls still. He is.
Oh, Kirkwood. I once I said that, Kirkwood's going to pounce on this. Did you guys give a thought as far as Giannis? I think Giannis is pretty interesting. Did you give a Giannis take as far as Milwaukee? I was away.
I mean, if this game did stay close, 10.5 is pretty not bad for Giannis. But I mean, Lillard is just eating into him a little bit.
Yeah. The ownership stuff's going to get shuffled up and changed because of all the news following. So, but it is 12% as of 4:30. But again, this stuff's going to move. We're going to get a new batch. But I do think Giannis is pretty interesting. Did you say anything? Did you give your piece as far as Milwaukee, TJ? I was away, so my apologies. I couldn't tell if you did or did not.
I did, and I got none.
Okay, easy enough. Still waiting on news for Anthony Davis. Let's talk about the other 8 o'clock game. Well, there's still a couple more. Miami and Memphis, 217.5 is the total. Miami is a 1.5 point favorite. Memphis has been certifiably terrible, just atrocious on this season. They could potentially be a bounce of the ball here, a bounce of the ball there, like 0-7. They've been such a disaster. Miami's not been great either. Miami without Caleb Martin. I believe Jovic is still out as well. Butler is probable with his knee, but you never really know with Miami. It is an Allen game. It's an Allen game for everybody tonight, with the exception of Indiana, who plays tomorrow, and Milwaukee, who plays tomorrow. Obviously, he played yesterday. Memphis, Tillman is, God, the dance they did the other night with him. He didn't start, and then he didn't play, and I guess he's still out with his knee. They're super thin on the inside. Bismack Biyombo signed off the streets, threw him right in the starting lineup. Bane and Triple J have both been pretty good, but the rest of the team is completely horrendous. We saw Bam drop a 20-20-10 triple-double last time out. Was just, wow, you don't see that very often. That was just incredible. So he's flashing a ceiling. But overall, I say all these words about Miami, Memphis, and Kirkwood. Do we like anything here? Do we love anything here? Is anything playable here?
Oh, man, it looks like Luke Kennard is picking up some ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, after 32 minutes, I think the other night. Yeah, it was 32 minutes, 27 the time before. Yeah, he's not going to kill you. I have a hard time thinking that he was going to burn you. But if people get off of Kelly O, like cheap guys, everyone's going to be looking for cheap guys. So Kennard is probably going to be played. Yeah, I don't really like anything here in this game at all. Tyler Hero's minutes are just absolutely crazy, but his price is so high.
We're projecting him for 35, but he certainly can beat that.
Yeah, certainly can. He's done 40, 42. But like all these guys are getting back. You know, Jimmy's going to play, it looks like, right? I think, is he probable or in now?
He's probable. Miami does their games with the injury report. And
yeah, they list everybody. Really, they list every player on the.
Yeah, it's super annoying for our purposes. TJ, Miami, Memphis, you're running 20 lineups. Any scotias, any pinches, any dashes?
A pinch of Tyler Hero and absolutely nothing else.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero, I think Tyler Hero with the minutes he's playing is very interesting at like 2% ownership, but I also don't think he'll necessarily I think Butler and Bam will get taken out if this one gets ugly quicker than Hero will. So
they leave him out. They leave him out in garbage time, which is
he's the last one. Well, they also left him out there. He was chasing that triple double to that one game. They were trying to get like him one more assist. I think that's why he played a little bit longer in a blowout. But he would be the last. Like Jimmy's not going to play. He's going to go, and Bam's going to go, and Hero will play sometimes in a bit of a blowout.
We our boy Showboat King is back, and he's finally picking up on something that we've been picking up on as he's been out. Is that Butthole Jenkins is the best screen name in RotoGrinders history. So shout out to my man Butthole. Good to see you back.
You got before he asked, you have a feel in your plums play of the night? You got to get one ready for the people.
I got to get one ready, I guess. But
that's his go-to question. He wants to know. To try to see if you can muster one up. And by the way, you're talking about blowout. Like again, it's a 1 point line. Like any game can blow out, but this game could be ugly, but it's probably not. If we're going to do a draft, like draft the games that are most likely to blow out, Miami Memphis is not, one of the best picks. But it still could very well just be an ugly game.
I actually think it will be. Bet on Miami. This is going to be a blowout.
Oh yeah, well, you know what? I'm down here in Florida. We now have access to sports gambling. You had to have been signed up 2 years ago.
Is that your feel it in your plums bet of the day?
I'm not really big on the whole money line thing, but if I'm having a feel it in my plums bet of the day, it's definitely going to be Miami over Memphis.
Okay, yeah, you just you could play the 1.5, or you can bet them at minus 126 money line. New Orleans, Minnesota. Man, Minnesota, best defensive team in basketball. They've been awesome. And New Orleans, 216 is the total. Minnesota, this one feels like a blowout on layaway. 9 point line. The big three, as far as New Orleans, two of the big three are going to be out. No CJ McCollum. He's got that lung. Zion is out for personal reasons. We don't know about Herb Jones. Herb just like a 3-and-D guy. So there's value theoretically opening up for New Orleans. This is a tricky one where Ingram projects really, really well because usage is going to flow his way. And if this game stays close, if New Orleans is scoring, it's probably because Ingram is doing his thing. But matchup is tough. Jaden McDaniels is one of the best defenders in the league. And Minnesota overall defensively has been awesome. So this is the quandary for me on this slate, Kirkwood. I understand the projections. I understand like how he's getting the bumps. I just sort of feel like this game's going to get ugly. Now, Jordan Hawkins, he probably plays garbage time anyway, and he projects well as is, and you almost kind of want the game to blow out for Hawkins because I guess he would play if this game gets ugly. Even still, his minutes are just basically guaranteed. He's one of the best dollar-for-dollar plays in the slate. But yeah, how are you handling this? For me, it's a conundrum for Brandon Ingram because I feel like he could be shaky chalk.
Yeah, but it's minutes and usage. So you're trying to say better with the matchup, and I get it. And sometimes I play it that way. But like with CJ out, I mean, he's just going to have massive usage as CJ and Zion out. And if this game is competitive, then he should just get there regardless based on that. But I hear you. Jordan Hawkins, I like. I'm a Husky fan, UConn Husky fan in general. So that's my guy. But it's nice to see him get into the starting lineup, and he's chucking, and he played 38 minutes against Denver. They should leave him out there to develop him and blowout stuff. So I think he's good chalk tonight. But another guy who's sixth man of the year, Naz Reid, if you need him, 4,600, playable, I think. But certainly not going to – the ceiling is definitely capped, obviously, with his minutes.
He can do damage in 20, 25 minutes, though. But, yeah, you're right. I agree. He's been awesome this year so far. As far as fantasy points per minute, let's see, 1.08 on DK. Hawkins has been pretty good. He had that one game where he kind of flamed out, where he was super popular. But I guess ownership's going to adjust still with the information coming in. But as it was an hour ago, he was getting like 40% ownership on TK, just a ton. TJ, how are you handling New Orleans? And I guess we should touch on Minnesota. Certainly they're playing some dudes as well. Cat's not been as good this year. Nothing really looks great as far as Minnesota side. I guess the best play dollar for dollar is Nas. But yeah, Pelicans and Minnesota. TJ, take it away.
Pelicans are the highest priority team on the slate for me, not in that 7 p.m. slot. Without CJ McCollum, without Zion Williamson, I do like Brandon Ingram, but I'm with you. I think if this game turns ugly, which it absolutely can, Brandon Ingram could just maybe not play the fourth quarter, something like that. I do like Jonas Valanciunas in tournaments a lot. Anytime there's a big that stays under the hoop, I don't care if he's good defensively like Gobert, Jonas Valanciunas can have a good game on him. So I do like Jonas for tournaments, but it's mostly going to be the guards and wings. So Dyson Daniels, Jordan Hawkins, and Matt Ryan, I'll have at least one of those guys in every one of my teams. I really like all three of them. And if Herb Jones is out, I'm going to want to get to even more of these guys today. On the Minnesota side of things, I think I only have Nas. He's the only one in my pool.
I think we are flying through this slate, and if my math is correct, keep in mind I went to UCF, so it could be a little bit dicey. We just have 4 games left, right? Toronto, Dallas, Portland, Sacramento, Golden State, and Denver, as well as we have to touch on the Lakers and the Rockets. So we skipped it in the hopes at some point we would get news as far as Anthony Davis, but the only update we're going to get is probably he's still a game time decision. Is that correct, TJ? We've talked to 10 games so far. Does that sound right?
I think so, yeah. We've eliminated the nonsense to make sure we had time for all the games, and we may have saved. We needed a little more time for nonsense.
Yeah. See, I'm always pushing. I'm team nonsense in general.
I'm pro nonsense too, but 14 gamer, you got to make some cuts, and something's got to hit the editing floor. Unfortunately, it is the nonsense. We might possibly have some time for questions from the chat. Maybe, no promises. If nothing else, crunch time with Andy Means. You got Keith Eyster and Kevin Roth are coming in around 6:15, 6:20 or so. They will answer your questions, best possible questions. Our first answered on Crunch Time, at least, in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the Crunch Time channel. And then if time allots, Roth will jump over to YouTube. Also want to let you guys know, like NBA DFS, it is back. Of course it's back. We've been talking about it for the last 50 minutes. And with that, the amazing suite of premium offerings here at RotoGrinders for a limited time. You can get a full season of NBA Premium, $50 discount, everything from the Lineup HQ access, what you see on your screen. You can use that at your own leisure with up-to-the-minute premium projections. We keep talking about the projections. Keep getting updated. The projection team is awesome. And on top of this stuff, not just at and up to lock, but into lock and well beyond lock as more information comes in. You also get ownership stuff. You can use the optimizer, all the bells, all the whistles. The fantasy pick'em tool for prize picks. If you're in the prize pick streets, the underdog streets, or just, player prop streets, there's a fun tool that helps you look for the best, the sharpest lines to attack. There is a description there's information in the description box for more information. And I guess producer Steve probably can drop a link as well in the chats. Okay, 3 more to go. We still have Lakers on layaway as well. But I think this one's kind of a snooze fest. It's TJ's Toronto Raptors versus the Mavericks. 225 is the total. Dallas is a 5-point favorite here. Although the bombshell that Bobby dropped in chat, that Precious Achiuwa is now doubtful. I don't think that moves the needle. Dallas, we have Kleber and Lively, both questionable for what it's worth, 2 of their bigs. But I don't think I care about that either. TJ, do you care about talking about your Raptors? Luka, sure, always, but it doesn't feel like the best Luka spot in the world, but he can overcome anything. He's also been playing dinged. Toronto, Dallas. Are we excited here?
We are a little bit excited about Luka and a little bit excited about Scotty Barnes. Those are the only 2 players in this game I have, but I think Barnes makes a great tournament play. He's coming in at sub 2% ownership in projections right now. And even though he's priced way up, he's a star. He is a star player this year. Scotty Barnes is taking that leap. He's the number 1 guy on that team, and he is turning into one of the better players in the league. He's got a floor. Without looking at the game log, what do you think Scotty Barnes' worst fantasy point game this year is on DK?
44.
Either we're both really good at guessing, or
my hands are up. My hands are up. I'm not
44 is the exact answer, Dean. Great
bang,
work.
Bang! Both showcase showdowns.
Fantasy points is the lowest fantasy point he's had this year, and his highest is 67. So the ceiling is there too. I don't really know why nobody wants to play Scotty Barnes, and I think he's a great tournament play.
The price has adjusted to him being a star, though. He's 8.9K now. But 1.4 fantasy points per minute on DK. You're right. And I don't know if he's a star player, right? But he's a star DFS player. Can we say that? He's good.
He's better at real life. He's better at real life than he is in DFS.
Yeah, the Raptors are what? They have 1 win. I know their team stinks overall, but he's fine. He's not. We can name. We don't have time for nonsense.
The Raptors are 3-4, by the way.
All right.
Oh. Sorry, apologies to all of Canada and Saskatoon especially.
They've won 2 games in a row, and you're like, they got 1 win. No, they got they got double that much in their last 2 games.
Championship. Here we go. What do you got? Kirkwood, jump in here.
This is a gross play, but a 9K Kyrie Irving. This is the spot for him tonight. Luka's going to get OG on him, and they also do that double with him always. So I think you're going to see a ton of Kyrie breaking these guys down tonight. But it's
Toronto's second lowest team in basketball. The pace isn't great. Dallas has been playing faster than they were traditionally, like last year, but they're still kind of middle of the pack. Okay. Butto Jenkins has turned on me. He's mad I called it a snooze fest. But go ahead, Kirkwood.
Butto, you be careful. Butto knows his stuff, Dean.
Fair enough.
He's got a nose for this.
Herbert in chat said that Toronto's the most boring team to watch, and that's I don't know if they're the worst.
My question is Siakam going to be the worst player in the NBA for this year, or is he going to snap out of this?
Yeah, he's taken away whatever Barnes is getting. He's taken from Pascal. It seems like
he's 7,300 on Fanduel. Just.
What do you think his fantasy points per minute are this season so far on DK?
You want me to look it up and then just and lie
No,
like you guys
no.
and say that?
Yeah. I knew
I'm not
TJ was
looking.
going to ask.
Hands
I
are up.
answered immediately.
Hands are up. 0.88.
No, you know what, Kirkwood? Seriously, you don't win any showcase showdowns. You've been you ever seen the documentary and the guy cheating in The Price is Right? You've been cheating.
This is exactly what you guys just did.
No, I did it legit.
Yeah,
he's been bad. Did you watch these games?
You've been copying Cheese's content for years, and so we know
his basketball content's great.
We can't trust him.
Yeah, he sends me his basketball content every morning via email. Nobody else gets access to it. TJ, you actually watching your Raptors, or you're watching good basketball this year?
Bit of both. But like the Raptors are average. The Raptors are average. They have a very, very solid starting lineup and a terrible bench. But they're an average team. They'll finish between 35 and 45 wins.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the next game of 14. I guess we're not going to get Laker news. Portland, speaking of terrible basketball, Portland and Sacramento, 221 is the total. Sacramento's an 8-point favorite. Coach Mike Brown, very, very pissed at his team being terrible, and they've taken a step back, which isn't terribly surprising. They're without De'Aaron Fox. No Scoot for Portland. We know Anthony's out. We know Robert Williams is out. One guy they were supposed to trade away. They didn't trade him away fast enough. He got hurt too quickly. We'll see if he comes back. And this is another one of my takes as far as this slate. And Kirk, would you tell me otherwise? I think we're giving too many minutes to Brogdon. The projection team does an awesome job. But I just think 37 is too high as a median projection. They have to be frightened that they got to move him. They can't let him get hurt and just have this. It's going to happen. Inevitably, that's what's going to happen to Brogdon because that's what he does. Knee injuries, on layaway. If they're going to play him 37 minutes on the reg, and that was at home at least. This is on the road. I just think 37 minutes is too much as a median projection. I think the coach even came out and said they're playing him too much. Coaches lie, but whatever. And he's coming in really popular. Well, at least he was. Let me see what the ownership is, if it's changed. One of my stands in the slate, I think, is not playing Brogdon or playing less than the field. What are you doing here, Kirkwood, as far as Brogdon? He's been spectacular and good for him. Best player on his team.
I've been on him ahead of time when everyone was saying, "Oh, he's not going to get the minutes, or he's going to have to be extremely efficient." It's just a matter of they just don't have any bodies. But he's played 44 and 39 in his last two games, so the coaches do always lie. What did the coaches say?
I saw a tweet on it. I don't
just
know
said, Chauncey said he was playing him too much, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But
it also, there was an overtime game in there too. At least one of those games is overtime. So knock off 5 minutes. But I'm not saying you can't play him.
Tells you they're willing. They've been willing to let go. So maybe they tightened up, and to them when they say that we've been playing him too, it means like they cut him like 2 minutes. So I'm fine with him. His role is just incredible. He's also an extremely efficient, good player. So I'm totally fine with him. I think the price is still. I think 8,200 is certainly an increase from where he was, but I think he'll be fine.
It's another one of those I know better spots. I feel like Sacramento beats Portland by at least 10. It's a get right game for them. They're going to light the beam. And again, I don't think the Kings are as good as like some people do. I think they're kind of overrated. But Portland's a team you can sort of beat up on and feel good about yourself. So I'm personally adjusting Brogdon down a little bit, and maybe that's a bad take. TJ, Portland and Sacramento. Also Sabonis, again, he's expensive, but he's going to thrash DeAndre Ayton and whatever else they throw at him. Obviously they lost Williams, and his backup is Jabari Walker or something. It's not going to be good. He should just annihilate out there. The rest of the pieces are pretty rough. But yeah, jump in here, TJ, as far as Portland and Sacramento.
I like the Portland side quite a bit. I not only like Brogdon, who I admittedly is going a little overowned. I'll probably be a little underweight on that, but I do still like Brogdon. I like Shaedon Sharpe for tournaments. I like DeAndre Ayton a lot for tournaments. And then I'm getting to some Jeremy Grant too. I'm a lot less high on the Sacramento side. They've been priced up for the situation. Sabonis is just legit not better without Fox. He's worse. He's worse without Fox. I don't want to play him when Fox isn't there. We've seen this going back to last year. The sample size is big enough now. I'm not getting any Sabonis or like Malik Monk I've loved for the last few weeks, but he's gotten priced up now too. So I'm basically ignoring Sacramento. I would still play Malik Monk on FanDuel. I think he's reasonable enough there in tournaments, but ignoring Sacramento. And then I like Portland quite a bit. Brogdon, Sharp, Ayton, and Grant.
King in chat's asking like why we're not talking about FanDuel enough, and it's not that we're neglecting them necessarily. It's just that there's 14 games, and it would be basically impossible to focus on both sites and be efficient about it. But if you stay tuned, crunch time, they jump back and forth. They'll give you a full FanDuel rundown. They'll give you a full DraftKings rundown. I believe they actually even start with FanDuel. You got Andy Means, you have Keith as well. You have Roth holding that down. So I promise you, FanDuel content is coming, and do our best. And good job there, TJ. Way to give a little shout out to FanDuel. I'm not trying to neglect him. It's just we can't just sort of this price is here. It's just much easier. And I think most people just kind of think in DK prices. This is the way I hear people talk. So that's where we're at, I suppose. And if there's any distinct outliers as far as prices, then we can kind of give it a shout out. 2 more games left. All right. I can't believe we're getting through it. We're doing a good job.
I just want to double up on the Shaedon Sharp take. I think I like him a ton tonight.
Yeah, what do we have projected for his minutes? Because his minutes have been outrageous. You can run him into the ground. That's fine. I just think it's a little bit more concerning to run Brogdon into the ground if this game, gets ugly. They're not trading Sharp when Portland's theoretically good. Obviously, Brogdon's out the door. So, and they want to move him at some point. They should just move him like now, but that's probably not going to happen. Okay. Last game on the slate before we run back and talk about the Lakers. It is Dallas at Denver. Should mention, by the way, there's a 2-game window at 10 o'clock. 14 games. 12 of the 14 start 8:30.
Golden State, Dean. Golden State at Denver.
What did I say?
Dallas.
Oh, yeah. Bad job by me. 227.5 is a total. Denver is a 3.5 point favorite here. We do have Jokic officially probable with his wrist, or assuming he's going to play. Jamal Murray obviously is out with that hammy. We saw Jokic smash last time out because that's what he does. He smashes every single game. No Draymond tonight for Golden State, a little bit thin, and it could be possibly even thinner if we get no GP2 because Gary Payton is not feeling particularly well. He is questionable. All right. Kirkwood, how much are we prioritizing the Joker and just other pieces on Denver?
Joker's going to smash tonight, so I think he's a high priority. I do like the lineups that I can build better with like using like Halliburton and LaMelo, but Joker is in a great spot. I think he's. I just looked at his odds to get a triple double, and they're -105. The offense is just going to roll through him. Looney is a tough rim protector, but Joker's going to be operating from outside. He's going to get a ton of assists in this spot. So I think he's going to have a big game. I think Michael Porter Jr. is kind of interesting. Chris Paul is on the other side is like a good floor play. Aaron Gordon is fine. Curry is 10-1, huh?
Yeah.
Can't do that.
He's got to score like 40 points to get there because he doesn't do a heck of a lot else.
The thing is he can. He will from time to time. And those. So I think for GPPs, you got to always consider him. That's I don't know.
TJ?
Steph Curry is somebody I'm getting to in tournaments today, and Nikola Jokic is kind of the other one I'm really liking and trying to get to as much as possible. Now that we have more value, I'm finding myself getting a bit more Jokic. I'm only playing Jokic on I'm only playing Curry on teams that also have Nikola Jokic. I'm not playing him on his own. I'm only playing him with Jokic.
Yeah.
Not planning on getting to much Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Reggie Jackson. If I am getting to any of them, it's going to be Aaron Gordon, though. He's the one guy that I don't mind. And then Julian Strawther is a cheapie I'm getting to a little bit as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about him. It's a 14-gamer. We're projecting 19 minutes on the season. Fantasy points per minute for Strawther's 0.62. I know they like him. They seem to want to develop him. There's a path for him to play some minutes, the absence of Murray. But yeah, I don't know, man. What does he have to get you, TJ, to feel okay? We're projecting 16 plus, give or take. I know he's the floor at 3K
20?
still mid.
20?
Yeah, I mean, your studs have to smash. But yeah, I guess, if that's what opens up an extra stud, I guess, sure. It's uncomfortable, but you're making more lineups than I am, and I guess I can see the path. And again, they seem to like him a good bit. You got anything as far as straw there, Kirkwood? I'm guessing you're not thinking that deep with your one lineup.
Yeah, no, I get it. For 3K, it's the minutes could. They're going to need some other guards to step up, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a fragile play for sure.
Wojbomb just says Jamal Murray likely out for the rest of the month. So that's a bummer. People want to know about my season-long team. I got Jamal on my season-long team, so that's a bummer for sure. We'll have to figure something out.
Imagine if they had Brogdon.
Yeah, but what happens when then Murray is healthy? I guess Brogdon instead of Arjax is. That's that's a great idea. Denver should trade for Brogdon. Why not? I don't know what they had to give up for him, but that's a great landing spot for him. Good call. Okay. We have to talk about the Lakers. We haven't talked about them just yet. Dicey as far as the information. Lakers at Houston, 221 is a total. Lakers are 4-point favorites. I just got a notification. Is it possible this is going to be? No, it's not Davis news. That would be working out just way too perfectly. Davis is questionable, right? That would change some things if he doesn't play. We would all of a sudden get Christian Wood unleashed for a revenge game. It would become much easier for Alperen Şengün on the other side as if Wood's going to be guarding him. My guess is Davis plays, but who knows? Hachimura is available for what it's worth there for the Lakers. Vincent is still out. Vanderbilt's still out. As far as Houston, they're getting Tari Eason back, and he's also 3K. They're not going to push him, though, right? Like, TJ, you getting Eason in anything? Because we can't.
No, they already said he's going to be limited to like 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, and like he could get 20 points in 15 minutes, but that's basically his ceiling. And yeah, he's a fun rosterable player. But I don't know how it's going to change things with Smith playing pretty well. And I don't know. He's got to fight for his minutes. I'm not really sure those minutes are going to come from. Maybe a few from Şengün, a few from Tate. But we're giving him 15. What do you have here, TJ, as far as the Lakers in Houston?
So if we get Anthony Davis in, I'm not playing any of them. I have no Lakers on in my player pool at all. From the Houston side of things, I'm getting to, I think, Van Vliet in one lineup, but this is basically a game I'm just crossing off. Now, if Anthony Davis is out, not only am I going to want to play a lot of Christian Wood, but I'm probably going to want to get some Alperen Şengün on the other side and maybe even get to some more Fred Van Vliet as well.
Kirkwood?
Yeah, if AD is out, Christian Wood is erected. Have to like him in this spot. Little revenge.
6 to midnight.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than that, I mean, and Şengün, sure. And if you're going to put Wood on Şengün, then yeah, you have to love that. So that he would definitely get a big bump. FPV is too cheap for GPPs, 7,700. Man, Austin Reeves went off against Miami in that crazy game, tight game, but has played better in his last 3. Still reasonably priced. I think he's going to get some ownership tonight.
All right. We got about 5 minutes or so until crunch time comes in. I can't believe we actually have like extra time to get some questions. I see some questions in chat. Start loading them up. Did want to mention the Sim Wars. Sim Wars are on Sim Labs. We just dropped the beta version. This is NFL only. The NFL lineup building tool. It's for a limited time. You actually can use it for free. Sim Labs, it's a brand new product. It generates DFS lineups through the power of simulation, combines data from every aspect of the slate to churn out lineups that match your preferences. Just a few clicks, you can have hundreds of well-built, correlated lineups that, they're ready to go. Well, as far as whatever contest you happen to be playing, there will be a link in the description as well. And I imagine producer Steve will drop a link for the people in chat as well. Do partake, do play with that. Very, very good for showdown slates. If you like the showdown streets, again, it's just for NFL currently, just for DK currently, but to have at it, it is for free. some questions that are loading up here in chat. Butto reminded us, do not forget about Strother. We didn't. We talked about him. Landon wants to know Joker or the Freak, Giannis or Joker, Jokic. Do we have a preference amongst those two? It sounded like Kirkwood. I think you said Joker. You seem to be pretty heavy on him.
Against or who?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, Joker.
Do we like Dwight? Several people are asking about Dwight Powell if Lively is out.
Yeah, hard
like
pass.
Is he 3K? Like, I don't want to play Dwight Powell in any circumstance. I'm just curious. Is that why they're asking?
Yeah, I think so. But the hard pass on Dwight Powell.
That's and he takes up a center spot too. If you want another reason not to play him, yeah, he did play 28 minutes last time out, and good for him. But yeah, I don't think I want Dwight Powell. Kirkwood, you want to make a case for Dwight Powell if everybody's gone?
No, thanks. I mean, he's fine, but this Dallas likes to go small too, as well. So, I mean, and Toronto could go small as well too. This game could definitely go smaller.
Butto Jenkins is saying, what about Boucher? Chris Boucher nights. I mean, it's a 14-game slate. We're projecting 2 minutes for him for what it's worth. I don't. That seems way too thin for me. Eric,
I think now that's probably was before Achua got downgraded to doubtful. It's probably up to like 12 or 14 something now if we give a little refresh. But still, I don't think he's in play for a 14-game slate.
All right, I'll hit the refresh button. Maybe I missed something there. Josh wants to know, Kirkwood, if Durant is out, can we go back to Bagley? Well, you said never again. He's on the never again.
I'm done. I'm done with this loser.
Beef stew? What about beef stew?
Sure, give me anybody over him.
Dwight Powell.
Yeah, give me anybody.
Eric's just saying he likes Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon is the nuts tonight. Well, that's a bold proclamation. Playable. I wouldn't necessarily say he's the nuts. All right.
Bobby Sims must be giving him Moody. He's asking about Moody.
I
Bobby's
think Moody
a big Sims guy. Big Sims guy.
He gets better if Peyton doesn't play. Are we projecting Peyton in or out right now? I'm guessing we're projecting him in. What do we give him, Moody? We're giving Moody 21 minutes. He's pretty cheap. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. But for me, I think it's only if Peyton's out. They have other guys. There's other bodies, and they can add people to the rotation as well. I don't think we're projecting. Who's the guy we're not projecting? TJD is not being projected right now, and I think at different positions, but he would probably be entered in some capacity. I don't know. Moody, TJ?
No Moody for me.
All right. Well, you're gonna bum out Bobby Gomes in chat.
No, TJ, he's gonna crush is what's gonna happen because the Sims know you can't beat the Sims.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm told. That's what I hear word in the streets. They're talking about some player prop stuff. TJ, I know you've been writing a lot of player prop articles. Do you write anything today? You have any props to the people? Any lines that are not yet stale?
No, I no player props articles for me, but DFS pick'em articles are what I put out for Prize Picks, and nothing for today. I just Wednesday is my one day of the week. I don't have any articles, so was lucky on a 14-game slate, no writing for me, and just the 20 lineups on DK with a single entry for me today. That's all.
TJ, you have the best value center option tonight on FanDuel for tournaments. It would have been Olynyk earlier, but I didn't circle back and see what our projection is for him. I assume he lost a few minutes not starting, but he still probably looks okay. Best value center we have right now on FanDuel. What do we got? We can just cheat and look at lineup HQ and make it a lot easier that way.
Yeah, I'm pulling FanDuel up right now off the top of my head. I still think it's Olynyk. The fact that he's coming off the bench doesn't really bother me. I think that just means he's going to get some more usage, and then it could absolutely be him closing over Agbaji anyways. And so that's not something that concerns me too much. But as of right now, he's the best cheap value, but the best RotoGrinders value on FanDuel is Nikola Jokic at 12.1K.
Yeah, PJ Washington is not cheap, but he's the next guy in line. We did drop Olynyk down to 24 minutes, and he's still pretty solid. Also, you can play him a power forward. We do have Roth and Andy Means and Keith in here before we kind of officially bring him in. I do want your guys, your official, feel it in your plums play of the night, whatever you want to call it, TJ. Give me somebody you're going to put your name on. Who's going to break the slate? Who's the player you need to win yourself a bunch of American dollars? What do you got for me?
Feel it in the Plums play of the day is John Collins. I think he's breaking the slate and he's going to be necessary.
Oh, that's
all right, Kirkwood.
I love him.
14 gamer. That's what you had. That's what you were ready to go with John Collins.
I set him hard when everyone was saying Kelly O. I was saying Kelly O is shaky, and John Collins is going to be the guy.
Well, who's next?
That's true.
It's all right. I'm going to give you the really far out there play. LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball.
Oh, come on. Get out of here.
You take John Collins. I'm taking Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, that's my segue. I think you just you click LaMelo, you click Tyrese, you click a run back with either Poole or Kuzma.
It's finally Kuz night, Roth. It's finally Kuz night.
I was gonna steal Ross' pick. I love Kuzma.
Yeah,
I'm playing. We're gonna make ourselves a little game stack there. What's up, Roth? Kuzma's your guy against. I have to assume you're gonna run it back with Kuzma, and like it's looks fabulous this evening.
He's a 50-point player. He should be a 9K plus guy. I don't understand the price tag. I don't understand the general disrespect. Kuz did it last game. He's going to do it again tonight. 50 points for Kuz. Lock it in.
It's in part because Washington gets blown out every single game. I noted this. I was going through. They played 17 guys so far this season in 6 games, Washington, which is insane.
Yeah. But it's now they're playing the Hornets. So this is just it doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah, it's not really sneaky stacking up that game to some extent, but I love the Ball. Kuzma, probably an extra Hornet or 2 as well. Have some fun. But Roth, are you playing tonight? I see you're playing, right?
Yeah, I've got 8 lineups. I got 100% Kuz. I'm locked in with my boy.
It's nice to see the progression over the years. Now Roth is up to 8 lineups. It used to be like 1.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in, man. Yeah,
we really turned him into a degenerate. We got.
Yep. Facts.
His hosting ability staying the same. He's multitasking for sure. Roth, we're gonna yield. We're gonna step aside for crunch time. The people want to hear the takes for Andy, the takes for Keith, myself, and TJ and Kirkwood. We appreciate you watching the first portion. Do hit that like button while you sit around and hang out with Roth and and Andy Means and Keith. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. A little weak on the closing there, Dean, but good stuff otherwise. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed Crunch Time. It is sponsored by Fanduel, and it is the show. We bring on 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. My guy Andy Means in the house. Means I haven't seen you in like a week. You've been doing fun. You went to a comedy show. You've been ducking me on shows. What's up, man?
Oh, Friday was great. Went to RPM Seafood. Had a great dinner, and then went to the Nate Bargatze comedy show, and it was just a glorious night. Was
it hilarious? Well, that guy seems hilarious.
Yeah, he's right up my alley, man. Like everything he said, like he doesn't curse, he doesn't have shticks. Like the octave of his voice never really changes. He just talks and tells stories. He's like kind of like a mix of like Seinfeld and like you met my buddy Yando. He kind of has a little Southern drawl to him. Like he kind of mixes those 2 guys, which is one really famous person and one person no one knows but Roth. He's just funny, man. Everything he says speaks to me. Like he talks about marriage stuff. He talks about like how he likes eating unhealthy. Just speak my language, man.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. We are glad that you were back here helping to kind of walk us through the slate. Do you like the slate? It's monstrous because we had the random day off for voting.
I do not like the slate. No. It's a little too heavy. And there's not enough cheap stuff I like. So I'm iffy. Roth.
I feel that, but I'm buoyed by the fact that I don't feel the need to spend up for anything either. So like I can get through with like 7-8K guys and feel okay. But agreed. Like I wish there were some 3.
I'm buoyed by the fact that you said buoyed.
All right, let's see what's up. We got the Iceman in the house as well. Keith Eyster, aka the Iceman. Eysters, Flysters, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing well. Big, massive slate here, so all kinds of stuff to get into and break down. Not a ton of news we're still waiting on, which is kind of, to Andy's point, limiting our value a little bit. Mm-hmm. I do want to spend up on some Jokic, so maybe we get AD out, and that helps us a little bit. But yeah, value is not real comfortable on this slate.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll need to walk through it. We'll need to figure it all out, and we generally do that starting with some cash bills over on FanDuel. I mentioned this show is sponsored by FanDuel. Make sure you're checking it out here. Got some great promos. Bet $5 on any money line. Get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And all customers get a profit boost every day. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Shout out to our sponsor, Fanduel, keeping this show free. That's a plus. So big thanks to Fanduel for that. Means you want to jump into a little FanDuel cash build for us?
Yeah, I really want to go on a big tangent and rant on something that's not DFS specific, but I'm going to not do it because there's 14 games.
Okay.
And I think it would be irresponsible of me to do it. It's sports betting related. So if we have some time,
yeah,
I might want to do it.
Okay, let's circle back to this if we have time and/or after lock, because I'm down for a sports betting rant. I had one myself.
Oh, it's going to be, I'm heated over here, just absolutely heated. So it's probably best that we don't distract myself by me just going on a non-DFS rant.
Okay,
all right.
That's fair.
Yeah, FanDuel. I like the FanDuel build a little better than I like the DraftKings build. And it starts at point guard because Brogdon's underpriced, 7-9, played 39, 40 minutes the last two games without Simons and Scoot. One of them was overtime play, like 44. I put in the expert survey today. He's had, I think in those two games, he's averaged 20.5 potential assists per game. The league leader in potential assists per game is 18 with Trae Young. So like he is just has a massive role without those two guys, massive minutes. Love him at 7-9 on FanDuel. And then you have LaMelo, who's everyone's favorite play today, I believe. Just Washington. There's no point in even talking about why we like people against Washington anymore because it's obvious. And he's sub 9K, no Rozier. Got a couple other guys out. Like between LaMelo, Brogdon, who has both point guard and shooting guard, and then Jordan Hawkins, who has just shooting guard, who's the cheap guy. I think we're literally talking about one other spot to fill.
Yeah.
So I think if you're not playing those three guys, I think you're probably doing it wrong. So who are the other options that you'd be playing here? Up top, Hallie at 10K would be mine. Like I was talking about him last. What was that? Was that minded that? No, that was Monday. Yeah. Against the Spurs, and he had 40 whatever fantasy points in 27 minutes, and then play the fourth because they're up by 40. He's good, A, and B, he crushes in easy matchups. Like that's been the thing this year. Hornets, he had like 60 whatever fantasy points. Wizards, he had like 48 in 27 minutes. Spurs, he had like 40 whatever in 26 minutes. Like he is a per-minute monster against these, sorry for the language, but against these shitty teams.
Yeah. So
10K is a big ask, but if you have the money, sure. Trying to think who else. The cheap stuff would be probably I like Tyus. He's 5'8". Killian Hayes 5'4". Chris Paul at 6'5". I've landed there a lot, especially if he starts with no Draymond. So that's generally what I'm looking at. I'll throw Kate Cunningham's name out there as well.
Your preference there. Your preference is spending up though, right?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Just because there's hard choices to be made. I just love Halliburton in general. So he was the first name I saw. So the first name I talked about, I wanted to go on a rant about him. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's my preference. I think you're more likely going to land in like the 6K, 5K range.
Okay.
Like the 7, like Cade, Chris Paul, or like the Tyus range. So I love him otherwise because we got him at like 14%. So let's move on. Small forward, as my phone just blows up with RG alerts. Nothing starting. No Horford starting. We thought that might be possible. Yeah, okay, nothing. All right. Small forward. So like Ingram is a tough one because like if you believe odds makers know what they're doing, they have the Pelicans with 103 point total, which is just like, for comparison, the Pacers have 124 point total. Like that is just a damn near quarter's worth of scoring in some games. So like Minnesota has been 3 points per 100 possessions better on defense than any other team in the league so far. I think they're like 10th last year. Kind of the same roster, so like I don't know if it's small sample size or what, but like it's a tough matchup, I guess. And Ingram, and we have that accounted for, and Ingram's still our best RG value. So like he's probably the first guy you go to. I wouldn't talk you out of him. I'm sorry, I wouldn't talk you out of not playing him if that was a double negative, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's more difficult to justify for me on DraftKings, but I think in cash games you probably just play him. If it was like my lineup, I'd probably play your Roth. I'd probably play your boy Kuz instead. He's $700 cheaper, and I just think, again, like this is all accounted for, but I just think we're talking about a couple points of like RG value here, and I would just rather play Kuz, and I would probably rather play Gordon Hayward for the cheaper salary there too. So that's generally where you're going to be landing in for at least one of your spins at small forward in that upper mid-tier range. The cheap one is probably going to be Brandon Miller at 5'6" in that Hornets game, Royce O'Neal at 4'9", and then Bruce Brown would probably be my third favorite there. That's generally it. Real quick, let's go to power forward. Love the Giannis price tag. Like it's been weird this year where some games he's like Giannis of old and some games he's not. Obviously, like Dame has a lot to do with that. Middleton's out tonight, which helps. I think the matchup is decent. Like Detroit's big, but I think Detroit's also kind of young. Like their bigs are young, and maybe I don't know. Maybe they think, or their coach thinks like they can man up Giannis with the guys they have, which I don't think anyone can man up Giannis. Nope. So I kind of like those matchups. Whereas you have some teams will just throw the house at good players. So he's 10-1, man. Like, God, we're so close to having Giannis 4-digit price tag.
Right. And he can pop off for 70 fantasy points like easy. Not even like, wow, that's surprising. It's just like, oh, he just did a Giannis thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a good game, coming off a good game. So maybe it's been weird in Milwaukee, man. Like they made a bad hire already. I think everyone knows that. It's not going well. So maybe they're starting to just put the ball in his hands more. We'll see. But 10-1, like that's kind of what I was talking about with the Halliburton thing. Like, are you going to pay for Giannis at 10-1? Or are you going to pay for Halliburton at 10K? Like point guard is really loaded, power forward, not as much. So maybe that's one of those things where you just play Giannis and do something else at the Halliburton spot. Love PJ Washington at 6K for something a little cheaper. Eric Gordon at 6'3". Talked about Royce O'Neal. Talked about Kuz. Kelly Olynyk not starting makes me worry a little bit. They threw out a really weird starting lineup with Utah. So not nearly as thrilled about him as I was about 2 hours ago. Those are the main guys I'm looking at. Center.
Means real quick, is someone starting in Kelly O's spot that we are interested in, or not so much?
I mean, kind of. They're going Clarkson, Keontae George, Agbaji, Markkanen, and Collins. So I don't think you can play Collins, Markkanen, and Olynyk together. So like they're probably rotating a lot of the 4 and 5 minutes tonight. I mean, weirdly enough, Keontae George, I think, is the trickle-down effect a little bit of him starting, and he's cheap, but he's going to be more of a play on DraftKings. So to answer your question, nothing sticks out on FanDuel specifically.
Gotcha.
All right. Good question. Let me see. You got more alerts. Dort's playing. Terrence Mann's playing. All that's been projected. All right, center. A handful of guys I mentioned. PJ Washington, Olynyk, but then the center only guys are going to be, if you have the money, Jokic. Working down, Bam, Miles Turner, and then I really like Daniel Gafford at 5'3". Didn't mention Sabonis at power forward. fine, but I like higher other spins better. Mobley's okay. So yeah, that's about it. I kind of like, it's kind of either at center for me, it's either probably gonna be Jokic, PJ Washington if you're not using him at power forward, or Daniel Gafford if you are using him at power forward. So that's about it for me.
Okay, very good. Let's throw it over to Keith, to Ice, and kind of walk through tournaments. Is it just play the best dudes, or do you have some game theory here? You usually have some like strong takes and thoughts. How are you approaching this slate?
Yeah, this slate is really tough because, in my opinion, the two, and in Vegas' opinion as well, the two best games are in the 7 o'clock window. Utah, Indiana, and Washington, Charlotte both have massive totals, much higher than the rest of the slate. So, like, it's gonna be hard to fade that early window. We're not waiting on a ton of news anyway. AD definitely matters, but outside of that, there really isn't much. Duren is still questionable, I believe, which does have a small impact. We could get some Bagley as some more value, even though he was brutal in the last opportunity he got. But deciding what you're doing with these two early games, I think, is super important. I'm going to try to save as many roster spots as I can, but I still think that they're the best games of the night, even after news. Even if we get AD out and we get Duren out, they're still the two best game environments of the night. LaMelo and Halliburton are two of the very best plays on the entire slate. So it's difficult to get away from those two games. As of now, what I'm trying to do is get a little more Golden State Denver. I think it's an awesome spot for Denver. We saw Jokic absolutely smash without Jamal Murray. Should do that again here tonight. And then Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. also get nice bumps as well. And then Portland, Sacramento is another game environment that I am targeting way late in the slate. I think the ownership will be far lower than it should be, even on a massive slate, just because it's late in the night. Most people are focused on the early games. So like the ownership in Portland, Sacramento.
Very nice. I do want you to run through positions if you wouldn't mind, but our guy Tasteful Tides in the chat says Herb Jones is out. Is there any boosts, anybody that's going to pop up into the starting lineup that we're interested in? Because we're looking for value here.
Yeah, I mean that does matter. I think Matt Ryan is.
Probably.
Yeah, that's.
Ooh, I already had a lot of Matt Ryan. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it makes me more concerned for the blowout, which is the biggest concern in that game. I don't know. I already had Hawkins was already a fantastic play. You can certainly play Matt Ryan now, and I think you can even play a little bit of Dyson Daniels as far as value pieces go. So it does matter a little bit.
Okay, nice. Do you want to run through positions here on FanDuel, or you want to save that for DK?
Yeah, I can go ahead and run through them real quick here.
Let's do it.
Point guard is loaded, like Meansy was talking about. Ball and Halliburton are two of the top plays on the entire slate. I'm not going too far off the board on that stuff. One guy I do like, Detroit is very shorthanded. Milwaukee has played bad defense. Sasser is a cheap piece here. He's going to be even more in play on DraftKings, but I do like him on FanDuel as well. Killian Hayes, same type of play. Just guys, Detroit needs somebody to score, and they're all cheap. They're very shorthanded. So I have quite a bit of exposure to these Detroit guys, just hopefully leaning into that the Milwaukee's defensive stats are real to begin the season. I think there's probably some regression coming. They're going to be better defensively, but they've been bad to start the season. So lean into that a little bit early. Some other guards here. I'll add some shooting guards in as well. Keontae George, I think, is interesting starting for Utah. More of a DraftKings play, like Meansy said, but if you need to go this low on FanDuel, he's certainly in play. I have some Klay Thompson, mentioned targeting that game, and some Steph Curry as well. Austin Reeves is a guy I'm really interested in. If AD ends up sitting, I'm going to be extremely interested in that. I think he could pick up a nice bit of usage there. Jalen Brunson, definitely have interest there as a guy that always has some ceiling. Great matchup for him against San Antonio. Let's see. Asar Thompson has been playing great. Another Detroit guy. He's priced up more than the others, but he's been producing more as well. So certainly like that. Malik Monk is a guy. He was not good the entire Sacramento team was awful in their last game, but Monk has seen a massive usage boost in games that Fox has missed historically. So still waiting to see that. Going to lean into that a little bit tonight. I like Malik Monk quite a bit. Moving on to some forwards here. The Olynyk thing is interesting. I was really hoping to see the ownership come down quite a bit more. I'm going to end up under the field if the ownership is actually up in the 60s here. But I still think he's a fine play. Like the Charlotte guys a lot. PJ Washington, Gordon Hayward. Like the Denver guys a lot. Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. Brandon Miller certainly playable as well on Charlotte. Love Kuzma. Awesome ceiling here against Charlotte in this matchup. Harrison Barnes is really cheap on FanDuel. Certainly playable. Sacramento's going to need some scoring from somewhere unless they're going to get blown out again. Don't think they're going to get blown out by Portland. So should have a better chance of seeing some minutes from their main rotation guys here. John Collins, a name that's been thrown out a bunch on the last show, like that call a ton. That looks good. And then moving on to some centers here. Jokic is my guy tonight. Without Jamal Murray, I don't understand how he fails in this spot. He's going to do everything. I love his chances for a triple-double in this spot. We saw Bam just go nuts in the last game. It's kind of a season-long thing at this point that he's getting more usage than Jimmy Butler, which is really interesting. So I don't mind some Bam, even in a tough matchup here with Jaren Jackson, but certainly in play. Miles Turner in a fantastic matchup against Utah. Mitchell Robinson, if you need to save some money, has a good matchup in against a faster-paced team. Getting to a little Karl Anthony Towns here on FanDuel. Let's see. If Davis is out, I do like Şengün a ton. It's hard to play him against Anthony Davis, but I think that's something like Anthony Davis gets ruled out. Everybody thinks Lakers, but you need to look at the other side of the matchup as well. This becomes a much, much better spot for Şengün if Anthony Davis gets ruled out. And I think that's all I got at center.
Yeah, I think Şengün almost put up a triple-double last game in like 26 minutes. Like I would like to remind the whole world that dude is freaking good and he can pop off for 60. And yes, I have 100% Şengün as well. Means we've got about 600 people watching. We don't have nearly enough likes. So before you take over, I'm going to implore the folks. Hit us with a little thumbs up. We want to keep the show free. Our sponsor wants to see eyeballs and interactions. Hit us with a little thumbs up so we can keep the show free. Many, many seasons to go. That's all. I'm not gonna ask for anything else. Means let's dive into DK build, man. I've got 5 guys locked in at 100%, and I'm intrigued to see how many of them you have as your core.
Shout out, cheese is good. Ooh, 5 guys.
Hey,
hope he's watching. Hope you're one of the 600 cheese. Yeah, DK build's a little tough. We need just like one more guy in the like the 3 or 4K range, which is crazy. We don't have on a 14 game slate, but I mean the ones we do have are going to be chalk city, so be careful. Yeah, so guard is where I feel pretty certain of like what I'm going to do. Man, I'm just looking at the Ingram projection. Yeah, it's gonna. Oh my God, this is gonna be just so difficult. He is just popping like mad right now. He has an 11 RG value score on DK. All right, sorry. Guard, LaMelo, point guard. Hawkins, shooting guard. Easy. Then what you're doing at the guard spot or maybe the detail spot. So here are the guys I've been landing on a handful. Cam Thomas at 7K. Been landing on Sasser at 4.5, George at 3.8.
Who?
Hallie, if I can, but I'm just having trouble getting there just because of like you're probably getting one other like decent-ish spend, and now I'm looking like I might just do Ingram. Like they just don't have anybody, man. Like if this game can stay close. Like, this is going to be the ultimate best case scenario, worst case scenario. Because, like, if this game stays close, it is him. Like, okay, Joe Val could maybe do stuff. But as far as, like, initiating things and just being the engine, like, if this game stays close, it's Ingram. And if it doesn't, he sucks. The game blows out, and he has 30 fantasy points and ruins your night. So, like, to keep that in mind, if you're playing him in tournaments, I would at least get 1 or 2 Minnesota guys on the other side, just because that's just how it's going to go. It just has to. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
They just have to run really well on other stuff for that game to stay competitive and Ingram not to be a part of it. So that was a tangent, but yeah. So Hallie would be the spend up there if you have it, but I'm more than likely going to be spending down. There's just nothing else that really stands out after that. That's like, I think 4 guys I mentioned, 2 for sure. And this is both guard spots. Like, there's a ton of other stuff that just lumped together for me. So no use wasting time talking about that. Small forward is basically kind of what I've talked about. Like, are you gonna play Ingram? And to be clear, I'm lower on him than what our projections show, but I still think he's like the best. I think he's very, very clearly the best RG value.
Mm-hmm.
That's the aggressive projection. So, like, if you're be careful if you're just like running vanilla settings in the optimizer and it's giving you all Ingram. Like, be careful. Like, that's, like I just said, that can get tricky if this game gets out of hand. Like, it's going to be very drastic one way or the other, in my opinion. So I'm probably going to play him in the one lineup I'm playing tonight. Let's see. Be careful, or be cognizant, I should say, of who starts for the Pelicans in that other spot. Let's see what we're projecting. We are projecting Ingram, Hawkins, Ryan, Nance, Joval, which makes sense because they would go against Cat and Robert. But that Nance spot is probably the most likely to have someone be different. So like the Sebron guy's like 3K. So if he starts, he'd be a decent cheap play. Maybe that's the one we need to unlock stuff. So that'd be the cheap guy I'd be looking at. And then you have like Baji, you have Jaden McDaniels, you have Royce O'Neal as like somewhat cheaper, Gordon Hayward moving up a little bit. So if you're not playing Ingram, I would try to get out as cheap as possible. But it's a tricky position if you don't play Ingram, which is like the conundrum for me that I've been dealing with the whole day. So probably doing Ingram or something cheap. Power forward, Kuz is who I've had in most of the day. Feel good about him. A lot of the guys I just rattled off have power forward eligibility. Those cheap guys like Royce and like Baji. Then I didn't mention Hayward at small forward, but you have him. You have PJ Washington. I did mention Hayward, maybe. Not like the spend ups here are not for me. Giannis, obviously love Giannis. Not playing him in my one lineup. LeBron, no. Just because I want to spend on Ingram, I want to spend on Halliburton if I can. Definitely spending on LaMelo. Like, I just don't have it to spend up here, especially if I'm playing Kuzma. So one other cheap guy, Naz Reid. I think he's fine. Let's go to center. Naz has center eligibility. Was playing Olynyk till got the word he wasn't starting, so not as thrilled about that. So I'm kind of been moving more to the Gafford, Mitchell Robinson range. Naz is in the discussion there. PJ Washington's in the discussion there. Kind of similar to the spend ups here that I said at power forward. Love Jokic tonight. Love Embiid, but like just not fitting the build I want. So not for me in my main lineup. I think that's about it. How many of the guys how many of the 5 did I get, Roth?
All of them were mentioned. Yeah, all of them were mentioned, but it wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement for some, but that's okay. That works. I feel all right.
You're on the right track.
Right. Yeah, I feel good about my build here. So I want to kick it over to you. There are a few names that haven't been mentioned yet, and I'm interested for tournaments if you will bring them up or not. So let me just listen to you and you run through what you want to do, and then we'll kind of dive into some of these QQs.
Okay. So the Herb Jones news, I think, is more impactful on DraftKings, and I'm quite interested in these New Orleans value pieces now. I'll be very curious to see the starting lineup. I think Dyson Daniels is another name that could potentially end up in there. But regardless, I think a lot of these guys are blowout proof just because of like Ingram and Jovel are going to come off the floor first if the game gets out of hand, but they're going to let guys like maybe not Jordan Hawkins. I think they still let him run quite a bit, but guys like Matt Ryan, Dyson Daniels, Sebron, like all those guys should play pretty deep into this game, even if it gets out of hand, I think. So I'm really interested here in the New Orleans value as a way to kind of make things work. I have interest in the Detroit value as well. Guys I mentioned on FanDuel, like Marcus Sasser and Killian Hayes, were people that I had heavily in my build. I'm going to spread that out a little bit to some of these New Orleans guys. So that is helpful news for the way that I'm building here tonight. I mentioned the games
Lively's out.
Lively is out. That one doesn't move the needle much for me.
No, in theory, it would be that clown Dwight Powell, but like that dude can get 35 minutes and do nothing. Like I can't play Dwight freaking Powell.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to run him out there for 35 minutes.
No,
I'm just going to take a quick
look.
look.
Run last game, but
if they go small, maybe a Derek Jones Jr. becomes interesting. Grant Williams might play quite a bit of 5. I just don't like that game overall. Toronto's the slowest team in the NBA, so it's just not a very exciting game environment overall. All right, let's just do some position by position stuff.
Yeah.
All right, here. So point guards, Keontae George, just a value piece I'm very interested in. Minutes could be all over the place. He could play 20. He could play 32. That's a lot of guesswork going into that. His first start, so definitely interested. Awesome matchup against Indiana. Halliburton and LaMelo are two of my higher owned players on the entire slate. Mentioned Hayes already. Let's see here. Scotty Barnes has point guard eligibility. You're probably playing him at small forward, certainly, but man, his role this year has been incredible. Jalen Brunson, another guy I like for some upside. Some shooting guards here. Let's see. Austin Reeves, a guy that I have quite a bit of. The Brogdon chalk, I like that. I mean, guys have just been playing awesome. Love that game environment too. So the way I'm playing that Brogdon chalk is stacking the game up. Malachi Branham is a guy that I had my eye on as a potential value piece. He's kind of in the same range as these Pelicans guys. And there was a weird report about Vassell potentially. He's a game time decision. I don't think he's playing, and Branham is still in play, but keep an eye on the Vassell news. Apparently has a chance to play. D'Angelo Russell, particularly if AD misses, would be extremely interesting. Steph is a guy that I have just because of how much Denver I'm playing. Let's see here. Moving on to some forwards. Love the Charlotte guys, Hayward in Washington. Love Kuzma. Think he has awesome upside here. Royce O'Neal should play a ton of minutes. A little bit more expensive than some of the other value guys, so not getting to a ton of him, but he's certainly in play. John Collins. Agbaji, another guy whose minutes are extremely volatile. Not a huge per minute producer, but he's cheap. He's in play. Strother for Denver, another guy who he is a big per minute producer, but just can you get the minutes? Jamal Murray is out. We have him projected for 19. That's what he played in the last game. But guy was awesome in the preseason. I think they're excited about him. Maybe they give him an extended run. Minimum price, you can do worse than taking shots there. Jay Crowder, I think, is playable. Has a chance to play 30 minutes here. Matchup against Detroit is certainly great. I will note that Giannis's price is very attractive, and if Duren were to miss this game, I'm going to end up on more Giannis than I currently have. So right now, I'm more focused on the spending up at point guard and on Jokic, but that might change if Duren gets ruled out for Detroit.
We had an alert that said he's trending towards playing.
Okay.
Duren.
So
yeah.
Good note there. Probably don't have to rework anything there. Keegan Murray, a guy like he's taken a bunch of shots. He has not made anything. He did hit 2 3-pointers in his last game. He was 1 for 15 in the 2 games before that. But I talked about loving that game environment. He was very good from beyond the arc last season. It's going to come back eventually. So I'm going to keep chasing the Keegan Murray thing. I didn't mention Monk at guard, but I have a ton of him here on DraftKings as well. Centers, it starts with Jokic again over here. Miles Turner is certainly in play at his price, and with that matchup, Mitchell Robinson cheap. Mentioned Bam over on Fanduel, playable here on DraftKings as well. Cat, a guy that I like tonight. Şengün I mentioned already on Fanduel. Yep, I think that about covers it.
Okay, it happened. We left out a name that is just insane that no one mentioned this. There's this guy named Wemby, and he's 7'4", and I just feel like he's turned the corner and is a 50 fantasy point a game guy. Like he's a 10K guy if he gets the minutes. The only reason he didn't he got like 20 minutes last game. Is that insane that I love Wemby?
You want to know what my hot take was on the expert survey today?
Let's hear it.
He does not score 20 fantasy points.
What?
Ooh.
What is he going to play 3 minutes? Like that's
a really tough matchup. Very slow game against New York.
Okay.
I think he gets muscled tonight.
Yeah.
He's bullied. Welcome to the league, son.
He's just going to shoot over the muscle. He's 7'4". He's just going to bomb threes over. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Everybody else, you mentioned Strother as well. I saw a few questions on that. He was kind of like my sneaky, cheap hope that he can go off. Guys, we've got about 6 minutes left until lock. So should we dive into some QQs?
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Scrolling up just a little bit here, I will start with D-Rock and a DK GPP Ice. Rank them: CP3, Clay, Cam Thomas.
I will go upside Cam Thomas, CP3, and then Clay.
Okay. FanDuel GPP Hawkins at shooting guard coming in at a silly 66% owned. God, I freaking love that guy, though. Your favorite straight line pivot off of him at that price range?
Probably be looking to other Pelicans there. I save a little money and go Matt Ryan. I think that's an outstanding pivot.
Great. Okay. Means someone asking about you playing Ingram and Cash, you're totally fine with it and may end up doing it yourself.
Yeah, he's in my build right now.
Yep. Okay. FanDuel GPP large field one lineup. Your favorite stud Ice? Is it Giannis at that cheaper price tag?
I mean, my favorite it's Jokic for me. If we're not including below 9K, because LaMelo is a priority also.
Gotcha. Okay. DK Cash means I'm coming to you. I assume that's Asar Thompson and Kuz, or Ingram and PJ Washington.
Oh, that's a tough one. I kind of like the second one better.
Okay, great. NBA DFS FanDuel Cash means right back to you here. Crowder and Aaron Gordon, or O'Neal and Wood.
I mean, the second one if AD's out, but I don't know I don't know how those games line up and everything. So just the first one, and unless you can figure it out otherwise.
Yeah. Okay. DK Cash means Hayward or Aaron Gordon. A lot of Aaron Gordon. Are we falling on Aaron Gordon here?
Yeah.
I would play Hayward of those two personally.
Okay. DK Cash again means tournament questions are allowed, guys. DK Cash, is Kelly O okay, or would you rather someone else in DK Cash?
I would rather play like Gafford or Naz Reid or like Mitch Rob of that, something of that ilk. Similar prices, so it shouldn't hurt you too much.
Okay. Steve-O says, who's the first off the bench in garbage time for the Wolves? Is it Naz Reid?
I don't think he's a garbage time play. He's firmly in the rotation. I think a guy like Milton would be the usage guy in garbage time.
Okay, great. DK Cash means Hayes or Gafford?
Gafford.
Okay. Jumping on over to the YouTube chat. Make sure you hit us with a little thumbs up here. DK GPP Ice, Brian Marshall says, Jeremy Grant or Asar Thompson?
Like both of them quite a bit. I'll go Asar slightly over Jeremy.
Okay. Ginga says, any love for McDaniels on Minnesota? And yes, I feel like both of you had some love. Ice, you definitely did.
Did I?
Was that not the cheapie that you did I completely make that up?
Did I?
I had some love for Naz Reid. McDaniels is fine, but I wouldn't call it love.
I don't know who I'm thinking of now that I thought was the dude you were talking about. That's my bad. I put words into the man's mouth. Let's see. DK Cash means Karan Crooks says Hallie, Mitrob, and Crowder. It's a 3v3. Hallie, Mitrob, Crowder, or Brogdon, PJ, Washington, and Kelly O.
First one.
FanDuel GPP from Darren Ice. You want Joker, Kelly O, and Brogdon, or Ingram, Halliburton, Collins?
Lucky. I love Jokic, but I think I prefer of those 3v3. I like the second one.
Interesting. Okay. Brian says FanDuel GPP Ice, Olynyk or Crowder?
I mean, Olynyk, but if you need differentiation, I'm good with Crowder.
Okay, great. Okay, that question was asked in multiple spots. FanDuel Cash means DeRozan or Bridges straight up at 7,600.
Bridges.
Ice FanDuel tournament, your favorite play from New Orleans and Detroit, your favorite value play. You mentioned a few of them.
Yeah, I'm on both of those as good value. I mean, just favorite in a vacuum is Jordan Hawkins by a wide margin, but yeah. I do think Matt Ryan is a viable pivot. I think Dyson Daniels is a viable pivot as well. Detroit favorite value is Sasser, but Killian Hayes firmly in play as well.
It was Dyson Daniels who I was trying to say you liked. What did I said? McDaniels?
Yeah. Dyson Daniels. I can get on board with that. McDaniels.
Okay.
I get the confusion.
You see the confusion here. I wasn't way off track here. All right. That's who I was trying to find here. How much run can Yurtseven get tonight? And is he playable? God, I hope so. Can we play Yurtseven?
No.
Yeah, bummer. What else do we get? DK Cash means, am I getting buried if I don't play Kuz? You are if you go against me, homie.
I don't think you'll get buried, no.
No, all right. DK GPP, Sharp or Bridges? I landed on a lot of Sharp. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. FanDuel single entry Ice. How do you feel Mark Williams? Do you feel Mark Williams is a good contrarian center? I feel he's getting overlooked in a great matchup.
I do like that play quite a bit. Awesome matchup against Washington. They've been getting destroyed inside. Yeah, love it.
Nice. Okay, less than a minute until lock here. Joshua in the chat says DK GPP, Gafford Barnes Ice or Olynyk Barnes? So Gafford v. Olynyk.
Again, Olynyk is the better on paper play, but he's going to be a lot more owned. So it just depends on what the rest of your lineup looks like. Gafford is fine.
Kleba starting for Lively.
Can't do it.
And I just made a last second switch off of Gafford to Olynyk just so I could get Cam Thomas. I was $100 short of Cam Thomas, so I got put in Olynyk like a donkey.
Chalk donkey. Means you said you might have a sports betting rant.
I do have a rant. So
I'm intrigued.
This is always like kind of annoying me, but it's like never personally affected me until this morning. But like, why are sports books allowed to just limit people?
Yes,
like,
this is a good reason.
Like, it just happened a long time ago for whoever decided it's allowed. Now it's just allowed. So like, if you're a losing bettor, they're like, yeah, man, let's go. Give me the money. Here's a deposit bonus. Here, I'm going to send you an email about a trending bet. Here's a trending bet right now that's going on DraftKings. We want to take this trending bet. Like, what is the equivalent of this in our society right now? Like, is it like someone who buys like, sorry, sir, we've noticed on your sales record you've bought a lot of jeans that are on sale, so we're not going to let you into our store anymore. Like, if you're a sports book, your whole premise is taking people's money to risking if they are on one side of a game or another, and if at a certain point, like, we think you win a little too much, so you can't do it anymore. But if this other idiot down the road here wants to come and make the exact same bet with the exact same amount of money, they can do it. So it has nothing to do with the actual bet. It just has to do with the person. So, like, how is this allowed? I just don't get it.
The equivalent is an all-you-can-eat buffet, and them like looking at you as you walk
Yes,
in. Like,
that is the equivalent.
nah,
Yes.
you look like you can put
You
away some
had
ribs.
12,000 calories. You're not allowed here anymore.
Yeah.
Like, how is this allowed? Like, I got limited this
know.
morning on DraftKings, and because of our scores and odds picks, or just ever since Cole Reagan's, like they've just been raking, and like our hockey picks and our college basketball picks, like, and I've just been like very, very singularly focused on just doing that. And then I wake up this morning like, oh, you can place $33 on this pick. I'm like, well, that just ruined my day.
Yeah. It's pretty messed up. I'm not allowed to sports bet here in Texas, but I would also think I'm probably not a sharp enough bettor. Just alone, thankfully, with scores and odds. Hopefully I would eventually get limited, but it's pretty wild. I don't know. I don't know how that is legal. All right.
Shout out to our sponsor. They're one that I don't hear about doing it all that often.
Hey.
The others, like, they definitely do, but FanDuel, like, I mean, I don't hear about them limiting many people.
Shout out
FanDuel.
Shout out
And
to our
don't
sponsor.
limit me ever.
Yeah, don't limit us. Hey, by the way, in case you didn't realize, NBA is back. It's in full swing here. Premium offers ongoing. For a limited time, you can lock in a full season of NBA Premium at a $50 discount. You lineup HQ access, premium projections and ownership, fantasy pick'em tool for prize picks, underdog. You get so much more. Make sure you're checking it out. So make sure you sign up because you get $50 off if you do it right now. Vassell playing is a surprise, Dino says. Do we have any Spurs anyways?
A little interest in Branham as a value, but no, not much.
Yeah. Okay. I think with that, we're going to bounce on out of here. So for Means, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.